Okay, Lee, thank you for joining us, and John, thank you as well for giving us the time. Usually whenever I like to start off these, I like to kind of break it down in this way. You're in a convention right now that there's a whole bunch of people that are passionate about a single thing, you know, My Little Pony. The thing I like to do is find out the things that you're passionate about, the things that you really love. Is there any TV shows? Is there any media? I know, John, you're really good. You're a very big fan of jazz. I just wanted to know what things that you...
I did not there.
Yeah.
Classical music.
I'm sorry, yes. Classical music.
Darn
it. Yeah, Classic FM London. I'm always tuned into it.
But what do you two geek out about?
Well, who do you want to ask first?
Let's start with you, Lee.
Obviously, Game of Thrones. I don't mean to be common, but Game of Thrones, Vikings, awesome. I love both of those. I'm a comic book fanatic. I'm only 5 comic books away from collecting the whole first series of Conan.
Oh, nice.
And Avengers, I collect those. I'm just now getting into Doctor Who. David Tennant beat me out for the Emmy a couple years ago, so I'm going to start one after him.
Can't wait for the 13th Doctor.
Yeah.
You'll be great.
I'm kind of a fan of all things pseudo nerdy or geeky, and I like science. I'm kind of a science guy. I like comparative philosophies. So my friend Sherry Fowler, our friend Sherry Fowler, introduced me to Finding Joe, Joseph Campbell, and I got turned on to that a little bit. I like anything sort of. I read a lot. I'm autodidactic, so I read a lot and spend a lot of time alone with my books.
Perfect.
Yeah.
John?
Well, on that note, I read a lot and spend a lot of time alone with my books as well.
That's why
I sail a fair amount. Music, classical music mostly. I'm a huge history buff, science buff. I go to science. Caltech is very close to us, so I go to science soirees, and actually having one at my house next month. Just met the person who came up with the cosmologist who came up with the whole notion of multiple universes just a couple of days ago. So
string theory.
No.
Multiple universes.
Yeah, his name is Alan Girth. So those are my notion in life is to try to be in a state of being able, try to be in a state of creating.
Mm-hmm.
So it's whatever projects have that potential, I gravitate to.
Perfect.
You're a history buff.
I am.
Have you seen the Decivilization series with Kenneth Clark?
I have.
It's my favorite. It's always playing in the background of my house.
Oh, cool.
I'm a bit nerdy that way.
Fantastic. Thank you, John.
Thank you. I have a question for both of you. Since you're both had experience with voice acting, I was just curious if you'd be willing to impart any techniques that you have to emulate voices to prepare for roles.
Well, I completely defer to Lee because it's not really. He has turned it into a major profession, and I'm sort of at the step one of the process.
Okay, well, and I'm gonna defer to a conversation that I had with John just the other day. He said that he deferred to me in these regards, but John is one of the people that has an iconic voice, and I think I mentioned to you last night that Worf. What's his name?
Oh, Michael Dorn.
Michael Dorn.
Yeah.
He played I Am Weasel, and as soon as I saw that, I thought, okay, well, here's where all of the people that specialize in voiceovers are going to be completely washed away because they're going to start taking, they're going to go for celeb voices. So it takes a lot for me and my kin to keep up with you because you're so iconic. And if Patrick Stewart comes on board, they're gonna always choose Patrick Stewart all the time, every time, or you all the time, every time. And so it takes I also teach how to do this, and I teach all my kids. I call them my kids because I always wanted to be a dad, but I'm not one yet. So I call all my kids my students. I teach them every year, try to come up with new voices. Listen to everybody on buses, listen to old-fashioned radio plays, listen to old cartoons and new cartoons, Archer, things like that, Adventure Time, John DiMaggio, my buddy John, he's like, listen to these new iconic voices. Always study new accents, dialects. A couple of years ago I learned how to do South African. It took me a long time before I'd even open my voice up. It took me like 6 months because I'm very particular. I've got to really get into it before I'll even, I don't like to look stupid. But there's all these young kids that are they're learning how to be funny, learning these new accents. So just always keep adding to your bag of tricks. There's a bag of tricks on this side, and it should be equivalent to the bag of money that you get because it's a career. So one equates to the other. Welsh. I learned Welsh from listening to Dylan Thomas, and I learned that Welsh was sort of like East Indian because it has that sort of same lilt. And I don't know if you could even tell the difference, but that was both of them mixed. So like one Christmas was so much like the other in those years around the sea town corner now. But it sounds very much like East Indian, So I tune your ears in, listen to everything, steal liberally. That's it.
To go for you, one obviously for you. Lee, how do you feel as a voice actor in both voicing characters for this genre versus voicing characters in other genres? Not necessarily the depths and the changes in how you voice act, but how do you pick your characters? How do you then finally give them the depth in your wits and your accents?
Well, I think that was kind of two questions in one.
I do apologize.
No, that's fine. I just need clarification so that I can disseminate the information properly. One was, how do I feel about doing this voice in comparison to other cartoons that I've been in?
Right.
It's the same. I come from construction workers and nurses and doctors, so it's a job to me, and I do the best job I can. And the second part, I believe, was how do I get to that point? Is that what it was?
Yes.
We are given sides. A side consists of a picture of the character, a description of the character, usually in one paragraph, and then some partial dialogue ripped from the entirety of the script and condensed down to 1 or 2 pages. And so we already are given a sort of a template, a blueprint, if you will. So I teach my kids that come prepared to be off book, because voice actors are inherently lazy. I don't know if you know that, John. But they are inherently lazy because the script's in front of them and they just walk in. I teach my students, I say, try and be off book. There's only 6 or 7 lines in a side. Be off book like the stage people are, like people like you couldn't walk on set, on live action and have a piece of paper in your hand. But most voice actors, they just come in and they're lazy. They just have it in front of them. So I teach my children, I teach them, be off book. It's the least you could do. The writer took the time to write it. And so the template is there. And I also teach them, have 2 prepared voices, because they'll throw a curveball at you. You'll come in playing Sergeant Number 1, talking like this, like somebody from the South, like dropping in me 20. And they'll say, oh, Lee, actually, he's Scottish, so you've got to be a Scottish person at that point, and you've got to do that. So I teach my kids, like, just be prepared, but the template is there. It's all laid out for you, but be prepared, and then throw your head away. Do it natural, be natural, that's it. I hope, did that?
Yeah, that
Okay.
covered it quite nicely, thank you.
Okay, yeah.
I'm not sure
I don't know. I didn't know. I didn't.
No,
I answer succinctly, and then I don't know what else to say after that. Unless somebody just tell me to stop talking, and then I'll know when to stop talking. Otherwise, I'll just keep prattling on.
Oh, you're good. Thank you. John, I don't think I could sculpt that question quite the same way to you. So, I guess more outside of My Little Pony now, have you found any other voice acting that you want to do?
Most of our work comes, it is in the future, and it comes to us from the future. That means I don't know what that's going to be. And in terms of doing things that I would, that I would have control of or what have you, they would mostly just be my own stuff. I don't really have a thing. Oh my gosh, I should do all the sonnets, something like that. It isn't something I have thought. Mostly because Sherry is here. Is I thought, well, maybe what I could do, because I too am interested in kids, and my introduction to reading was through poetry and all that type, is that I could maybe do some of the poems that were the most influential to me. But like everything else, when I float the idea of late, and I floated this idea once or twice in the last 4 or 5 years, people say, "Oh yes, on visual on YouTube." I go, "Well, actually, it's an auditory experience. It's not a visual experience." No, it's got to be that, otherwise kids are not going to watch it. You mean listen to it? Well, yeah, actually watch it and listen to it. So then that deflects me from actually doing it, because I kind of go, well, that's a whole other setup. That's just a completely different setup. So I haven't gotten into it, and maybe one day I will, but there's nothing that comes to mind.
Well, should you decide to pursue it, audiobooks are probably one of the biggest things out there media-wise.
Yeah, I had a company called Alien Voices, and we did quite a few dramatizations of classic science fiction. So I know, I'm aware of that. Nowadays, everything has to be done essentially for free. because we've created a culture that thinks that everything should be free. I don't like to do things kind of half-ass. So it's a big production number, and I have other things that I can do. So and while I might not particularly need the money or expect a lot of money for it, I don't want to pay for it myself. So there are a lot of things I have to sort through.
To that end, there's I'm from Vancouver, BC, Canada, and we have at the UBC we have. And those that know me know that I'm a legally blind person, and I am an advocate for the blind. But the Crane Library is one of the largest audio libraries for the blind. And there's a lot of people that volunteer their time, a lot of new voice actors, which is a great experience for them to go and garner the experience, and they dedicate their time. And so I give, my hats off to them. The more audiobooks there are for the blind, the better. I just wanted to raise a flag for that, because I'm an advocate. So there you go.
Cool. My question's for you, John. And I'm going to preface this with saying that Bronyville is in the $100 donator credits for the Brony Doc. How do you feel about the reception to that now, a couple of years on?
Well, a couple of years on, I feel really good about it. We, right when it was released, Mike Brokoff, who was the principal producer of it, read a lot of the comments, and I kept on saying to him, "You cannot read comments. You just can't do it." And I think that his feelings were hurt by it because we had worked so hard to make something that was respectable. I did not read the comics.
Wise decision.
And so I feel still really good about it, and I think that it has, you know, I keep on remembering the kid who asked us during the phase of the Kickstarter phase, is this a documentary that I'll be able to show my parents? And the answer is yes. This is, you know, I was really heartened by the fact that adults who didn't know anything or don't know anything about this culture were really moved by it and thought it was really interesting and things like that. So in that respect, I think it's done well.
It did put the fandom in a good light.
I think it changed. My cousins in Cologne, they didn't know anything about what I was up to or what this whole process was.
Right.
And they had one opinion before they saw it, and then a completely different opinion after.
Yeah.
So,
So in that respect,
it was good. Yeah,
right,
no,
right.
it changes minds.
Thank you.
My question's for both of you again. I was just wondering if there were any upcoming projects either of you are working on, voice acting, live acting, anything else in between that you are able to at least share a little bit of information or tease?
Well, I'm going not next week, but the following week I'm going to Boston to get involved, interestingly enough, in a project that I'm not quite even sure about. I'm going there to spend 3 or 4 days kind of immersing myself in a video game which is moving to phone, a mobile video game. And so I'm really interested. I had just finished a video game, or I'm still in the process of working on StarCraft. And I heard what the person who runs Blizzard talked about, which really made a big sensation in the world. And that is that he said, these AAA games that we do, you know, Assassin's Creed and the big games, we won't be around in 5 years. Everything is moving to mobile devices. And lo and behold, right at that time, I was contacted by what I think is going to be a really interesting team who are doing a mobile device. The subject matter is Star Trek, but it's the pulling together of all of the universes, and the one character that can in fact pull together all of the universes happens to be sitting right here in front of you. So again, that gives you an idea. I mean, I never thought, for the lady who was asking before, I never thought, it's not something that I could anticipate, but it was out there in the future. And then I can kind of go, oh, yeah, no, not that one, but oh, that one sounds really interesting. So it allows me to be, hopefully, kind of at a cutting edge level of where we are, entertainment, technologically, and I still keep my finger, in the pie by being involved with that. In the same way with the Brony thing. I mean, Mike, and then I understood that, wow, this is something that's happening here. This is developing. Maybe we should be involved in this. So it's fun to be involved in. I love it.
If you're ever looking for like Alien #3,
don't worry.
You would make a wonderful red shirt, Lee.
That's excellent. I doing that.
Yeah.
It's for things that I'm working on. The Endangered Species is out right now. I play Gull, and Tab de Saint Germain, as you guys know, she plays Sunny, the rabbit. and we're both up for Leo Awards, Canadian Leo Awards, for our portrayal in that this year.
Congratulations.
Yes. Well, I think if it doesn't go to her, something is broken with the system. So it's just she outclassed me on the episode. We were both, because she got to do 2 voices and I only did mine. But she's amazing. Slugterra is still going, where I play Pronto the Magnificent, so that's up again. Nerds and Monsters is coming out, and I'm in that. And King Kong, Netflix, I play King Kong, which I have to articulate without using English. So I just like, and I don't even know how I can do that properly. So I don't know how to do that, but somehow all my Shakespearean.
You'll get there.
So I did it. We're done season 1.
Oh, good.
Yes. So somehow I managed to not use English and convey and to emote.
Your inner thoughts.
Yes. Yes. Somehow, and to reach down into the depth of my primal. Anyway, so that and. I just finished, I think I told you, I finished writing a screenplay called The Grim Possession of Chesterfield Couch, which I've given to Ken Fair, the president of Nerdcore, and I also give it to my friend Chris Chesser, who's just working on the big blockbuster with the Monty Python people this summer, and he's one of my mentors. It's called, does anybody know what it's called? About everything, something about everything, I can't remember. But anyway, so it's the big thing, and Chris is one of my mentors. He told me that, Lee, everything that you do probably will get made, but probably not in your lifetime. So that was both disparaging and encouraging at the same time. So yeah, I'm always working on new things, and with Fan Built, I'm always encouraging other artists. So that's but yeah, no, I mean, there's always, I don't think the life of an artist or somebody who's a producer ever ends. It's always, you're always
Hopefully not.
Yeah, you're always lobbing your next idea into the future and then reeling yourself towards it.
Right.
And that's it. I don't know what I would do, and I know you probably the same way. I don't know what I would do if I didn't have a project to work on. I wither.
Right. Yeah.
Creatively.
Yeah. Ennui sets in.
An ennui.
Yeah.
Yes.
Next question.
You got
How's
3.
our time? 2 minutes. I guess, how are you guys just enjoying the con? A fun, friendly question there. How are you enjoying con?
Well, I'm enjoying it a lot. It is exhausting to the extent that you have hundreds of people talking to you or at you, and you have to listen, and you have to respond, and you have to be there in the moment, and you have to be present, and it takes it's a little exhausting, you know. It's like going to a party and talking to every person. But it's also enjoyable. I'm not an extrovert in that respect, so I don't gain energy from people. I sort of lose energy, so I have to sometimes just go up and sit down
And be done.
and just be quiet. Lots of noise, lots of moving around, lots of stuff like that is jarring to me after a while. But the things in which I like the most about it is the sometimes all too brief, but I meet a lot of different people, and I always ask everybody what they do, and you find things that are really interesting. I love talking to the kids, and then I love the I don't know what you call them, the speeches. They're not really speeches, but the Q&As, because it's an opportunity. It's sort of like my idea is that in the theater you do a show, and you get off the stage and you take off your makeup and put on your street clothes and you go outside. You walk out the stage door, and lo and behold, there are 2 or 3 people there who say, "Oh, I really enjoyed the show, and I would like this part or that part," or somebody who might say, "Gee, I can't understand," whatever. Well, this is an extension of that. I mean, you go and do something, I don't know, whatever it is, two years ago. Well, it was the case of Star Trek, excuse me, 25 years ago. And the stage door, you open up this metaphorical stage door, and there are not 2 or 3 people, but millions. 1,000 people or millions of people, right? So.
We still have 1 minute. No, we're done.
Oh, you don't want to know? How
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry. No, I guess we're done. No, we're done. I guess there's nothing else.
Tell them.
I very much enjoyed the con, and I haven't been able to do very many this year because of my schedule. But what's been really nice is I love getting to know the people, and I reiterate John's sentiment. But I really enjoy getting to know you.
Yeah, this is the first time that we've actually had an opportunity to
to talk.
There will be more.
Yeah, and I've and in all humility, I've worked with some great people. Sir Ben Kingsley, my voice has appeared with, and I and my voice, Ben Kingsley, John Goodman, would be all these people, Terry Gilliam, I've done. But when I found out my first con, when Sherry Fowler, our mutual friend, when I found out that I was going to be meeting you, I grew up with Star Trek, and so I was like, oh my God, and I actually had a little bit of a fanboy thing for the first little bit, but getting to know you, I must say that I enjoyed the man much more than I enjoy the idea of the Q. And so I want to thank you for...
And with that, I'll snap my fingers and we'll be out of here. How's that? 1, 2, 3. There we go.
Cool. Thank you very much, John.